Delta 547, wind 19016, runway 22 right, clear for takeoff.
Runway 22 right, clear for takeoff, Delta 547.
Taxi via Juliet.
Air traffic controllers protect our nation's airways. These are the stories of real air traffic controllers to boldly deliver a safe, orderly, and expeditious flow of air traffic from their departure point to their final destination.
Wind 19016, runway 22 right, clear for takeoff.
Runway 22 right, clear for takeoff, Delta 547.
Personalities on the pilot side and the controller side, and there are good and bad, and there are certain controllers that don't like certain air companies, certain pilots, and there are certain pilots that hate controllers. I remember I've heard a TWA, one of our guys got on an airplane with his family in the back, and this captain was all upset, and he throws the controller off the airplane, making an announcement about who he is, taking him off the airplane, and his family, okay? We got to hear about that before the sun went down. And if you think those white and red striped airplanes didn't get a few extra turns in a holding pattern or get to be number 3 as opposed to number 1, you can't mess up or piss off your friendly air traffic controller. Now, there were certain pilots that were the elite of hatred. And when I was at the academy, here I am walking through our office one day, and there's a controller from Panama, one from Atlanta, and one from LA. And they're talking in the corner. And I hear them talking just out of the corner of my ear, and I stop. And I said, "You're talking about Cox, aren't you?" He says, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I said, "We hate him in New York, too." And I mean, I saw that man, and I don't know what, but he would take a controller and crumple him up like a piece of paper. You'd be buried in airplanes, talking a mile a minute, give him a clearance, and he'd want you to read off all the radials and instructions, okay? Yeah, we'll do it, but that's going to back the traffic way up. And when Eastern 401 crashed in the Everglades, we thought Cox was flying at TriStar.
Wow.
And after the 3 to 11 shift, we all went out and had a party. Not for Cox, but we felt bad for the alligator. Probably ate him. Probably got poisoned. Yeah.
But no, that is very true. With the pilot and the controller is working out of Peachtree DeKalb and Georgia 1. I happen to talk fast anyway, and I taxied on the runway 17 via taxiway Alpha, turn right on Bravo, and he came back. He says, "Ma'am, this is Georgia 1. And in Georgia, we don't talk fast. So you're going to have to read that back to me." So I've learned my lesson, okay?
We had one wonderful female controller working, and she was working this American this one time, and she was busy, and she turned him to the west and let him go direct. And she turned him to the west and let him go direct. And finally, she's turned him over to approach, and she apologizes, for all the vectors. He says, "It's okay. I don't know how to cook either."
I was working up the front desk at TMU this one day, and we had a guy who was a Saudi national. I think he's flying for the Prince. Saudi. Remember this one?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, anyway. So this guy calls up, and he says, "My call sign is such and such and such, and I'm flying from Houston Intercontinental to someplace in New York, LaGuardia Airport," and gives the whole route. He says, "I request that all male controllers, no female controllers," right? And we said, "Roger, have your request." Got off the phone. So that made it fun. Okay, so we called Houston Approach. We called Fort Worth Center. Everybody down the line had it all arranged. So from the minute he started on ground control all the way to where he went in New York, every single one of the controllers was female.
Awesome.
That's
what I'm talking about.
And it was like, okay,
This
okay,
is what
pal,
you get.
you know, you may be able to get away with that in Riyadh, but around here, you don't run the show. You know, so, yeah.
Dana and I worked together at Waco, and they had these ram flights that they test the planes and also other planes that they modified with gold and all this for the Sultan and the King and the Prince of somewhere else. So they would fly in to get the aircraft when it's ready, and our manager was a female. Dana and I were female. And when he came in, he didn't want to listen to my instruction. I'm like, say again, request male air traffic controller. What?
Wow.
I was like, what? No.
Wow.
And so, I told Dana, she tells the manager too, like, can you believe this plane's like not wanting to, what he said? She goes, she put Dana on another position. I was on a position. Same thing. It's like, let me know when he flies out because we're going to have women on there. But they literally said that. That's true.
Where was he from?
Well, they'd come from somewhere in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
It was a prince and sultan or whatever. They would modify their planes all sorts of the way. And actually, I was in the Air Force, blessing in disguise, I guess you can call it. So I'm being deployed for Desert Storm, one of those. And I was going to be sent to Saudi. Well, then all of a sudden they're like, no, you're going to Spain. We're in the middle of the air. And I'm like, what? So there was a female air traffic controller. I know her name is Becky. Was the first female air traffic controller over there, and two planes almost collided because they refused in that country to listen to women air traffic controller. So then they didn't send me there. I got sent to Morón, Spain during the war, and I controlled traffic out of there. But I love Spain, so I don't complain. But they did that.
Wow.
See what we go through, Joe? I mean, this is what we go through. We had Sandy Kent in Lake Charles was working traffic. And, she has a tendency to kind of get hyped. No. And yes, right?
No.
So she's telling her, I want you, United so-and-so, you do this, and Continental, I want you to, and she was going back and forth, and American. And then when she switched to American, that they were going back and forth, and then United pops up, can I get a frequency change too? Because everybody wanted to get off their frequency. So, yeah, we have our days. But, I think that working with all the controllers I've worked with, from every facility I've been to, have been a really good thing for me. You meet friends everywhere, like I said, meeting Yaya. So go over to Dubai, you can hang out with controllers that I met that worked there.